Community Update. I'm your host, Shelley Hoffman. Hi, long time no see, Mayor Dick Clarke. How are you?
I'm very good, Shelley. Nice to see you.
Me too. So I know you have a lot of things to go over, but I just want to put it out there for anybody that doesn't know yet, because I did talk to some people this weekend that were not aware that you are retiring from your position, correct?
I am, as of November 30th. That'd be my last day as mayor.
That's 10 days from now, Mayor. You know that, right?
I know that, but sometimes you just have to cut the cord, and it was pick a date, and it happens to be a couple days after the tree lighting, so I knew I could take part in the tree lighting, which was important to me. And it's also my mom's birthday, so it's kind of a nice memory to associate that day with something else in my life, big. So why not?
Nice. Well, I put in the description, but you're just shy of 10 years as mayor. That's crazy. That means you've pretty much been mayor almost the whole time I've lived in Baldwinsville.
See that? And look at how you've thrived.
That's right. We're both wearing orange today too. We didn't even plan it.
Syracuse plays at 2:30 today.
I saw that Pizza Man Pub is opening up early for the game. If people didn't,
there you go.
Mm-hmm.
There. So I gotta say, the things that you remember that you take satisfaction in, and you have nothing to do with it, but it's sort of the flavor of the village that we live in, and if I've done anything at all towards that, I've tried to maintain it. It was that way when I was a kid. It's been that way for a long time. We had a big water main break on Oswego Street, right by Pizza Man, in that area. And I mean, it was big. It was probably one of the biggest ones we've had in quite a while, and it was hard to find it. And we had to call in special crews to come in and help us get to it. And Pizza Man brought out 10 pizzas, all kinds of stuff to drink and stuff for all the crews that were there. And the National Grid people that were there because of power lines and the contractor and all these people were just astounded that a business would do that. And my comment to Chuck McAuliffe at the time was, almost every business in the village would do that. I mean, if it was down by Sal's, they would have done the same thing.
Yeah.
Whatever. I mean, that's the kind of the people that we have, and it's why it's been so great to live here and been great to be mayor, because when there's an issue, somebody always steps up. Everybody helps. I mean, look at during COVID and people helping people type thing. And, you and I talked about it. You came up with a great idea, put me on it seemed like it was every other day for a while, but, to talk about what people could do to survive COVID, as far as where they could get help on things other than COVID, because they were all isolated in their homes. And, the different groups, people helping people, or Beeville helping Beeville, whatever the different groups were, people sprung up and went right into action. And, if somebody needed a ride to a doctor's office, somebody was there. If somebody needed groceries, somebody was there.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't happen everywhere. I mean, people can fool themselves and say that's just the way it is, but it isn't. This is a special community. We're far enough away from Syracuse with land barriers like the Thruway and 690, and we're not immediately connected to the city in any direction. And it makes a difference. This is our community, and people stick up for our people. So, long-winded way of just saying thanks to Pizza Man. I think what I'd like to do today, Shell, is kind of take a look at what I think people have come to be used to in the village, and maybe look at a few things that happened since I was mayor. I don't like to necessarily take a lot of credit for things, because in most cases, somebody else came up with an idea and I just said, go for it.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like people wake up in the morning, what do they expect from Baldwinsville? They expect when they turn on their tap, they're getting good water. We have our own water company. We have our own water supply. It's an underground source. It's not an above ground lake that could be polluted easily. We have a full, staff of 4 people maintaining the water, because it's important that people know, excuse me, that their water is good and that it will be there. And if there's a problem, somebody will come and fix it. We have a 24-hour hotline. You call that and somebody will respond very quickly and help you take care of it. We have recently, and I'm proud of this, made some big investments in our water. We've got new pumps. We're getting new electrical supply to all the pumps so that the old wiring will all be gone. It'll be all new wiring, all new switches. We're getting a new security system that we've never had before to protect our water sources. And then somebody on the water department has on their phone the alerts so that if somebody were to try to break in, if there's a pipe were to burst, they get an alarm at 3 o'clock in the morning and they can be there in 10, 15 minutes and hopefully save it from being bigger problems. We do have 2 water supplies so that if one gets shut down, we still can get water from the other to service the village. And we've won prizes and contests at the state fair and stuff for the taste of our water. It's a little different taste. It's an acquired taste, but when you've been here a while, other water tastes weird. So the same thing with you flush your toilet. It's not flushing. You call the emergency number. Somebody from the DPW would be here in 15, 20 minutes. Say, it's your problem. You need to call a plumber, or it's our problem. We'll get some people here shortly. We'll tear up your front yard and dig up the line and fix it. And it does. You don't wait for some outsider to come and take care of your problem. Sidewalks. Sidewalks are not a given in some communities. This started under Joe Saraceni. I wholeheartedly continued it. We tried to make the village walkable so that from almost any part in the village, you can walk to the business district, you can walk to the school, you can walk to your church. We know we have a traffic problem. It's not really our problem. I mean, it was the way the village was designed, 300 years ago or whatever. We have one bridge crosses the river. Otherwise, you have to go outside the village to get over the river. It's not something that we can do. We can't build another bridge. I mean, you're talking millions and millions and millions of dollars. And there was talk of a bypass once upon a time that would have come out where the bypass is by Budweiser. That if you take that from 31 over to 370, was going to continue right on over the river and come out by Van Buren Road.
Right.
And then the state got wind of just how much it was going to cost. And the state said, we don't think that's that important right now.
Hopefully they think it's more important if all the Micron stuff comes. I know that some people were talking about it, but I'm not holding high hopes, Mayor, but as someone that bebops around here all the time, it would be nice if they finished it.
It would be interesting. The only trouble is there's probably houses in the way now. And then they didn't worry about that at Micron, did they? But it really is nice. I mean, I remember when sidewalks went in, I think it was on the street that runs the side of Burn Dairy down off of Genesee Street, probably Spruce Street or Pine Street. I get mixed up on the two of them. And I walked down there with my sister Cindy. We were just taking a walk, and I said, "This is all new sidewalk." And some woman was coming the other way with her little dog, and I said, "How do you like your new sidewalk?" She said, "It's the first time in years I haven't had to walk them in the road. I really love it." So you don't even see the little things that happen when you put in sidewalks. And then we had trails put in all along the river. One of the things that we've been interested in for quite a while. I mean, it started way back before, like with Dan O'Hara and back in there, and it probably was a discussion long before that about the riverfront and the waterfront. What are we going to do to maximize its impact? And one of the things was we put in trails. Well, then a couple of years ago, we paved the trails so that people with strollers, people maybe in wheelchairs could access. You could go from the bridge all the way down Meadow Street and down that trail and get all the way to Community Park without ever coming off a trail. It's just the idea that mobility, people can get places without driving cars, hopefully. I mean, that was one of our goals. And then we saw a lot of that during COVID when we emphasized all the time about the parks. And I think people felt that our parks got twice as much use during COVID as they had ever gotten. And, so it worked out nice. They could wherever they lived in the village, they could walk to a park. We had three major parks: Mercer Park, Community Park, and McCary Park. McCary Park is the lost park. People kind of forget it's there, but it's right by Shacksboro Museum. Mm-hmm. Beautiful little neighborhood park. If you just want to take your kids and it's quiet and you don't have to worry about much, it's back off the street. We have real nice parks, and they were there, but we've done things to upgrade them. We put a walking trail all the way around Community Park. So you go down and park there. You can walk all the way through the woods and around. And, for those outdoor type people who want to mark distance, they could figure out how long that was. And now you maybe do 3 laps to get your mileage in. We put in canoe kayak launches at both Mercer and Community Park. And then this year we put in a kayak rental system. You continually look for things to upgrade what you have without making a huge splash financially. We have an obligation to our citizens to take care of their money, but also to make their life better. And so within reason, every time you fix something in the water department, you've done that. Every time you upgrade something in the park, you've done that. If you want to find out how much people count on the village, come day late on brush pickup. Go on Facebook and where's our brush pickup today?
I put the rest of my pumpkins out, so I don't know when they're picking them up, but they're outside my house right now. I gotta laugh. Your wife is chiming in with some comments. I just want to share them really quick. So here's the first one. She said, "I love our mayor." I would hope so, sir. And then she just wrote, "I'm not being prejudiced when I say he's going to be a tough act to follow." So her and I might be your 2 biggest fans out there. I'm not sure. We'll see if anybody else comments throughout the.
I could do a lot worse than you 2. That's for sure. I appreciate that. Let's see what we have here that I want to mention. I think our streets are pretty safe. Somebody put a comment the other day on something about Baldwinsville, and somebody said, "Well, drugs and crime have taken over the village." I said, "Where do you live?" I mean, we have our problems, but we don't have the problems a lot of communities have, because we have a great police department that knows where the problems are before they hit. Sometimes they know the people that cause the problems, and they know where to go to find them. We get some graffiti occasionally. We've had to fasten our garbage cans down because they used to end up in the river all the time, and same with the picnic tables. And they thought it was funny to go in the middle of the night and throw the picnic table in the river. So, we had to fasten them down. But that's always a handful of people. Out of all the people who live in the village, you got a handful of people. And our police department is second to none. I mean, we've invested in them with good equipment. Most recently, they got body cams. It took a while to get them because it's more than just putting a thing on your chest and walking around. You have to have a place to download film, so it's there if the DA needs it on a case. So now you're talking about special equipment for that, somebody to do that. So it took a little while to get there, and we got some grant money and that type of stuff. And it's come in handy. Our police department has used the body cams, and they've been effective. We update the vehicles. They're trained. We make sure that they get to training. We offer money in the budget for education. So if a cop wants to take a course in police work, they go up to OCC or wherever and take a course and make themselves better police officers. I'm very proud of our police department. Somebody said, "Boy, I read a lot of DWIs," and to me, it is kind of sad that we have so many people that are, out there driving drunk. And somebody said, "Well, businesses don't like it. You scare the people away because they're afraid they're going to get a ticket." For the 1 or 2 people that get scared away, and most of our business people live in the village. I mean, Angry Garlic, I know where Jeff lives, and the Delias and people like that. They live here. They have kids. I'm sure that there's mixed emotions, but ultimately they would say whatever's safe for our families is best for everybody. And hats off to our police department with Chief Leffencheck and Lieutenant Lockwood running the ship. And, we've gotten some young people in lately, and they've been very aggressive, and we're in great hands. And I feel very comfortable knowing that. The same with the DPW. Leadership is everything, and Chuck McAuliffe is great. And we gave him the luxury of taking two of the people and making foremen out of them. Corey Perkins is the foreman of the water department, and Danny Weir, foreman of the highway. So it's taken some of Chuck's obligations, the day-to-day stuff off. But Chuck is pretty busy. You say he comes in the morning, and all of a sudden it's 2:30. Time just flies because there's always stuff going on. They do a lot of the little things that make our village nice. I mean, they hang the flowers on the poles. They hang the stars for Christmas.
I saw them out there today doing some more of the stars and the snowflakes and whatnot. You don't realize how big they are in the back of like when they're hanging on the pole. But when they were sticking out of that pickup truck today, I thought those are pretty good sizes that they're taking up there.
And they cut down the Christmas tree, and Chuck has gotten smart, and he's hired a crane to come in and do it the last few years to pick it up. So they hook the wires and whatever they used on the tree. We cut it loose. Crane picks it up, takes it over, lays it down on the back of the truck. They go down to the park, the square, and pick it up, and they guide it over the hole and drop it down in, set it up, and the crane goes home. And this year, Chuck said they cut the tree down at 9 o'clock. It was in the hole by 5 after 10. And that was from out on Church Road. So,
I watched it. You know me, I don't track that Christmas tree. I just happen to always be around when that tree's getting put in.
He's got a nose for it, huh?
Yes.
So, those are things that people don't even think about. That tree just appears to people. Oh, look, the tree's up. It took a crew of like 6 or 7 guys, a morning. I mean, they cut it at 9, but they were there at 8 o'clock, and they were starting to they were cutting the bark off, starting to make beginning cuts, mapping out how they were going to get it out of there. We have a talented crew. We have people who are electricians. We had one of the guys who used to work for a fence company. So anytime we want to build a fence or a barrier type thing, that's up his alley. We have people who we hired a mechanic that Chuck said we never thought we'd be able to replace Skip Sosha when he retired. Or we knew we'd replace him, but could you get somebody who you could work with, like you could work with Skip? And the new guy that Chuck's hired, Chuck's word is fantastic. And the guy has stepped right in, and what happens is people say, why don't you pick up brush until like January 1st? Well, because the brush trucks are also our plow trucks. Mm-hmm. And when we know snow's coming, then we have to get the sanders on the back. We have to get the plows on the front. That stuff you don't just walk in and snap your fingers and everything. It takes time for people to do that. And it takes people who know what they're doing. Those plows push a lot of snow. And if you don't have the plows set up right or the sanders, you're going to have problems. These are people who commit themselves to being in at 3 o'clock in the morning in bad weather. But they also know that phone could ring at 3 o'clock in the morning in good weather. What was good weather when they went to bed, and suddenly, lightning hit, and we've got trees down across streets. Get up. We need you in here. And the nice thing about our DPW, unlike the towns, we use this as a comparison. The town highway department is a separate department from the town. They have their own boss who's elected and is equal to the supervisor. So they're their own department, and they do their stuff. Our DPW, which includes water and highway, operates under Chuck, but also operates under the village board. So, they're getting requests from us. Can we do this, do that? We're replacing water meters, slowly but surely trying to go through the whole village and replace everybody's meter, because they get kind of funky after a while. They'll go too fast and your bill will be too high, or they slow down, your bill will be too low. So we're going through little by little and replacing water meters. But just about the time you think you're making headway, there's a water break somewhere else in the village, and they're tied up for a couple of days fixing that. And you get behind on the water meters, and there's the daily work to do. So I think people sometimes don't get the picture of the talent that we have in our DPW. We have Danny Weir is really good at cement work. So if we have to do a little patch of concrete, cement type stuff, Danny is outstanding at that. So everybody on there has their own little thing they do.
Yeah.
It's great. And they all go together and make one great department. I think if you look at our village hall, I made this comment years ago that it seems funny, but people in this area who can't figure out where something is, call village office and ask the clerk, where is this street? Where is this building? Well, I don't know. It doesn't sound like it's in the village. Oh, I know it's not in the village. I just thought maybe you could help me. Why would you call village hall? But it seems like that's the center place for everybody to turn to. And the nice thing is, I would say 98% of the time they have an answer. We have great people working at Village Hall. We had Mo for years. Jody has stepped in and done a great job replacing Mo. Anna was our treasurer for years. Not her background, government office work and business work, but she made it happen. I mean, she did. She was great. It took her a little longer sometimes because she had to call the state, find out how she was supposed to do it. Now she's retired, and Mark Baker's in that job, and that was Mark's living for years, was devising programs for the computer systems and stuff. So he's come up with all kinds of things to try to save us money, to make things more efficient. Most recent that Mark just came up with, we passed it Thursday night, is to make it easier for you to pay your water bill. You'll get a bill online. You might not get the paper one anymore, which will save us some money, but you'll get a thing. Here's your water bill. If you want to pay it online, here's where you go. Right. Currently what we have is you can only use, it's people with a credit card, and it's kind of a clunky system. If you walk into Village Hall and say, I want to pay my water bill, here's my credit card, we don't have a way to do it. It's not hooked up that way. It will be. And a lot of people pay their bills online. Yeah. They don't write a check anymore. So this will now fit into that. So when you pay your NIMO or your National Grid bill, your water bill will be right there. You just transfer the money over and paid it. You'll get a receipt, and the clerks will come in the morning, open up the system, and there will be 25 water bills paid already in the system. They don't have to take the checks to the bank. It's going to make it much, it's something we probably should have done a long time ago, but nobody really knew how to do it, how much it would cost us, and that kind of stuff. And Mark takes those kind of things. That's his pleasure. I mean, he gets excited about solving those problems. We have a new code officer, but we had an excellent code officer in Greg Humphrey, who loved the village and was, really very active in the code area. And now we have Tim Gainey, who stepped in, and he sends out a report every 2 weeks on what he's done in the code office. And it's usually like 27 pages long, full pages. I talked to Shelley Hoffman about the, deck she built on her roof that's illegal. And she told her either fix it or go to court by this date, that kind of stuff. So, those kind of things, people say, how important is codes? Well, code keeps your quality of life in a system so that somebody can't come in and just plop a shed 6 inches from your property. And now when you mow, you have to go around it because it's so close to your property. And it's like, doesn't seem like I should have to have it that near me. Well, you shouldn't, because the code says it's not supposed to. And your code officer will come in and say, you got to move it. And every day you don't move it, you're going to get fined. And it's that kind of quality of life that when you look out your backyard, you don't see piles of garbage in the yard. You don't see old cars sitting there rusting. It maintains that quality. And we've been very good at that. We have a good court system. Judge Hewling's been here since time began. Don't tell him I said that. But he loves Baldwin. So I mean, he's a good-hearted guy. That booming voice of his, and everywhere you go, I think you get good answers from people because they're not we're not trying to make money off of people. We're just trying to keep things moving. And that's just another example. One of the things I forgot with the police department, I think is really cool, is anytime a sports team is going to play, like in a state championship, they leave the high school and they get a police escort, a car in front and a car in back, and they take them like out to the thruway, and then they come home, let the bus go. It's got to be kind of cool for kids to think, people think we're important enough that we get a police escort. It's that link where kids identify good things with police, the same as our resource officers, which is another great service that we have. We've had it all along, but recently, Mike Leffencheck and I worked hard to figure out a way we could get more schools involved. And then the schools got involved, which made it a lot easier, because they said, we want a person in every elementary school. And, Mike just said, here's what we got. What do you think? I said, where do I sign? I'm all for safety like that. And I think we have a great system, and it's the first line of defense with problems with kids, because I can't tell you specifics. And if I could, I wouldn't, because I wouldn't give names and stuff, but we have kids come up to our resource officer and say, I'm a little worried about so-and-so. It's acting really strange. So I know who that kid is. I'll look for him in the hall and ask him how he's doing and see if I can spot anything. Or this kid typically hangs around with a crew that does bad things in the village, and something happened last night. I'm going to have a little talk with Johnny. You weren't out with your friends last night, were you? No, but I heard they did some things. Now you can go to their house and maybe arrest them or give them a warning or whatever. And it's a great first line of communication with our students, and just invaluable. And I think it works better in a community like this. We see great return from having resource officers. And just one more service. Let me see here. I got more comments this year about the flowers in the village than we've ever had.
They were beautiful. Oh my goodness.
Unreal. It's funny how some years they're so much better than others, but the hanging ones were just gorgeous. The ones on the ground were overflowing. And I get comments from people. I used to work at the paper, and I covered community government in the western suburbs. So I covered in Camillus and Jordan and Onondaga, Marcellus, places like that. And I'll get comments from people who I used to work with, who were on the board at those places, will say, I was in your community. I cannot believe how beautiful it is. If you had anything to do with it, all I do is say, go ahead, DPW, put them up. And we encourage it, but we didn't start it. It's the flower group, the Baldwinsville flower people. They do a terrific job of Point Park. They have stuff up for, Halloween time. Now it's getting decorated for Christmas. I know Jeff Boardwell was up there putting in some lights and ribbons on the cement posts, and all those little things just add up. That's where you come into the village from the east, and you come over that hill by Budweiser and come down, and there it is on the right, all decorated, beautiful flowers in the summer.
One of the garden club ladies decorated the inside of my phone booth with some mums and corn stalks and scarecrows. I actually just got rid of them today. And they're going to put some stuff in there for Christmas for me.
Oh, how great.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. You belong in Baldwinsville. You're one of us. I don't think our Memorial Day parade takes a second fiddle to any place in the area as far as what our parade stands for. It's always about remembering those who have given their lives in defense of our country. Great parade right through the center. It's really cool when you're driving, you go over the bridge, and there's people lining the sidewalk all the way across up Tappan Street. And then there's always a great service at the cemetery, and we honor veterans, a couple of them, that are alive that we have come in and call them the veteran of the day type thing. And it's just a special event. It's something that I will miss being a part of, but I won't miss it because I'll go. But I enjoy being a part of it. It's a very solemn day, and the least if you do is one day a year to remember people. It's better than nothing. And we do what we can to get people to kind of have that consciousness about what these people gave their lives for is what we have today. Then we have coming up Thursday, we have the turkey trot, which we don't run. The Rotary or the Kiwanis, the Kiwanis runs it. But we have a big part in it because we have police officers. They have to work extra duty to try to keep the route safe. Mm-hmm. So I'll go out. They come by our house, and I'll go out in the morning. And this week, I think it's going to be really cold. So I'll probably turn the vehicle sideways and have it running with heat blowing, and wave to everybody as they run by. But it's really a who's who of the village, and past and present. People go by and wave and yell, "Hey, Mayor, how you doing?" Sometimes they don't know who they are, but they recognize me from seeing me on the videos, and it's kind of cool. I mean, it's that small town atmosphere, and really look forward to it. And then, of course, the Saturday after Thanksgiving is the 25th, is the Parade of Lights. Again, we did not start that. That was a fire department initiated program that has grown and grown and grown, but that's basically an event where I'm not sure that any of the police officers can have that day off. I mean, no, seriously, we may have everybody working because it's so big. I mean, it starts at Stewart's, it goes up 48 to Artillery, down Artillery to the foot of Oneida, all the way up Oneida to the traffic light at Oswego, and then all the way down Oswego Street. And at the end of the parade, which used to be like 30 trucks and now is like 70, which makes it twice as long, is Santa Claus. And then they bring Santa into the square, and we have the tree lighting. And I'm telling you, one year I swear I was in Times Square on New Year's Eve. I looked out, and people went all the way back to the diner. So it's just all I saw were these heads all the way back. It was of course, it was like 48 degrees and a very nice day, but we have to shut off all the streets along there. And then we have taken to putting heavy duty trucks, our big trucks, blocking both sides of Genesee Street. So if, God forbid, somebody thought they would create havoc and drive through our parade, they're not getting through from those directions. And believe it or not, we had on East Genesee Street one time, we had two trucks parked. They weren't quite nose to nose, but they were facing each other, and pretty much tell people you can't go through here. And some tractor trailer guy was going to try to go between them. And they had no, back up. You can't come through this way. And then it follows up with a nice little thing at the library where they have Santa Claus goes over to the library, and you kids can sit on his lap. And then they have something in the main meeting room there. They have, usually it's build a Christmas ornament type thing, and they have candy and cider. It's kind of nice. It makes for a great Saturday, and a lot of people come home to see their families for the weekend. It's a great capper to your Thanksgiving weekend. Yeah. And again, I don't think that happens just everywhere. I mean, I don't know that Liverpool has a parade like that, or Cicero, or, and some of it's because they're cut off by main thoroughfares, like Route 81 goes through Cicero, and Liverpool's cut up by 48 and 57 going right through the main drag. And, it's like we don't have that kind of traffic at night. Now, saying that, to remind people that for the turkey trot and the Parade of Lights, we're going to have streets blocked off. So that if you figure out where the route is, and I just told you the route for the parade, and the turkey trot's kind of similar. It starts at the school and goes at Oneida Street all the way down to Artillery and up Artillery and across Mott Road to Chaucer, and then over to Brayside and down Edgewood and into the schoolyard. If you're on any of those streets, you got to figure out there's going to be an hour and a half or so Thursday morning, Saturday evening, where those streets are not going to be accessible. The Four Corners is not accessible for the Parade of Lights. Can't get across the bridge. You have to go north, either east or west to get across the bridge, up by Burnderry, up on 370, or you go over to John Glenn that way. And almost every year we get somebody who calls me and complains that I got trapped for 45 minutes. It's like, how long have you lived here? 35 years. This didn't just start today. The turkey trot's been going for 50 years. The parade of lights, 6 or 7, but still, it's pretty noticeable. I mean, it couldn't have happened in your neighborhood without you knowing about it. So we got those things to look forward to. The parade of lights is like I say, is fairly new. I think one of the things that I've been proud of, we have a board that takes good care of people's money. I mean, one of our goals is not to spend money that doesn't need to be spent. We'll look at things and say, well, we could do this, but should taxpayers be paying for that? Good thought, but we still try to be progressive. I think we have developed the best senior center in New York State. I mean, Canton Woods is unreal. The things that have gone on over there. I was a representative before I was there from the board, before I was mayor. And it's always had a special place in my heart. We take pretty good care of kids in this village. And I'm very proud that we take pretty good care of seniors in this village. We have a whole separate development of residences that are for seniors, beautiful, McCary Town. We do a lot of nice things for seniors, and Canton Woods is the best. Let me think here. Some of these things I've mentioned. We always have, we've worked hard to try to have a farmer's market every year so the square gets used. That was one of the goals when Joe pushed for that to be turned into a square and not all just parking. We also had a good turnout this year, I guess, for the classic car shows.
Yeah.
A lot of cars. If you've noticed, our street lights have changed over the years. We've gotten rid of those kind of rosy colored lights and gone to more LED lights, and I think it's actually better for the streets. I know our street is a lot. I mean, the other light, unless you were right under it, didn't have any impact. Now this light's two houses down and it shines in my yard, which I kind of like. If I have to go out at night, it's nice to know I'm not going into pitch black.
Right.
We have a great library. We have a great school system. You've had kids involved probably with both of those things.
Oh, yes. I will tell you, I'm kind of glad I didn't, when I lived in Pittsburgh, just the area I lived in, we didn't utilize the library all that much. We had one of those book bills when I was growing up. Remember those? They drive books to you. But when I moved up here and I was looking at my tax bill and I saw that part of my tax bill included the library, I looked at my youngest one, Allison, and said, by golly, we're using that library. And I'll tell you, I loved it. They ended up doing the Second Monday Club, that just all the different activities the library had.
Oh, and people think, well, what's a library? You just go get a book. Not our library. Mm-hmm. They got all kinds of stuff from little kids to older people and everybody in between. They have classes. They have lectures.
Oh yeah, there was a
library if you're looking for something to do.
Your sister just went to one. It was probably a month ago now, but it was about something with computers and marketing. She was just kind of curious, and it was offered at the library. So she went. She texted me the next day and said she thought I would have been there, but I had something else. So it's just, you really got to look at their calendar and see what they have to offer.
I think so. And I have to admit, you have to be able to look at all the positives we've had. I'm a little disappointed in what's gone on with Paper Mill Island. We haven't been able to get that the way we want it to go. We thought this promoter was going to be the person, and then he got himself divested into other sites too, and so we didn't become his primary focus, and we didn't have the number of concerts. And he would like to take over the island and make it into his little theme park, which we said that's not going to be. It's our park. I forgot when I said parks. When we have Paper Mill Island as a park, Linda
had mentioned it in the comments too, but it used to say Budweiser across the top of it when I moved here. And was it this past summer, or when did the name?
No, it was this year, yeah.
Was it? And now it says Baldwinsville.
The county put out a capital grant that villages could apply for, and one of them was to fix this. We fixed a lot of the soffit around Village Hall. It tends to,
I
when
saw
it gets
that.
the ice on it, it gets wet, and then the soffit kind of warps. And so we replaced all that and painted it. We put some money into the visitor center. We probably have more to put into that. You just look for every little bit you can get to help pay. I mean, look at the improvements. You know, you were on the Main Street grants. We figure we've had over 30 businesses improve the look, or maybe in some cases people wouldn't notice a change in the look, but maybe they fixed the entranceway so the door's better. They got better looking windows.
It really helped the Methodist church where I'm a trustee, because we had a huge Mason project that had to be done regardless, but the grant money made it a lot more affordable for us to do it. And we're still in the process of doing it. It's like, I think 6 phases of work that needs to be done, but the grant helped with 2 of those phases.
Right. So, I mean, you just keep looking for ways to improve things. And Megan O'Donnell has kind of taken over the reins of working with a promoter, whether it be the same promoter, and try to straighten things out with him, or whether we go out looking for another promoter. Mark Baker, one of his lifetime things is he's a huge guy into music, goes to about, 150 concerts a year all over the country. And he knows a lot of people locally who are in the promotion business. So we're hoping that he can give us a hand, and I'll be looking for that. Been a problem with communication too. And I know you put out a calendar now, and that helps to some degree with the events. But people say, well, you don't publicize much about your elections. And we had somebody come to the board meeting the other night and say she lived here for 10 years before she knew there were elections. And that doesn't seem right. I thought, well, if I moved into a community and I wondered who runs the community, I would call the village clerk's office and just say, who's the mayor? How do they get elected? I mean, that's not something that you just publish, put out a program or something for people, because most people do know. But when some people say we don't know which posts are open, in the next election, and when petitions have to be. And Mark Baker pointed out at the meeting the other night that one of the problems is the messenger used to be really good at that. In November, they would say, in the spring elections for the village, it'll be mayor and 3 trustees positions. You have to have your petitions in by January, whatever, blah, 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 or February, whatever the date is. Yeah. And the first day you can get petitions signed is this day. The messenger doesn't do that stuff anymore. When I worked at the Syracuse papers, we used to have a thing called Neighbors. And there was a Neighbors North, Neighbors West, a city Neighbors, and a Neighbors East. I worked on the West, but we had one here that was just as effective. And they covered all the local governments. I mean, when I covered government, if I had in a month, I had 26 meetings, I made 24 of them. And so I knew what was going on in those communities. And the ones that I couldn't make, I called the next day and said, what happened at your meeting last night? Could you send me a record of this or that? And so we were constantly putting stuff in Neighbors, and people went to that and looked for that information. Well, the paper stopped doing that. So 2 great sources of that communication are gone. You've done a great job of doing what you can do, but I'm not sure what the system is. The best idea. One of the things we've talked about is an email blast system. So you say, everybody who would like to be communicated with, like on a water main break, when the parade is, what streets will be closed, when the election is, what seats are available, whatever it might be, you sign up, you send in your email. So this list of like 400 emails. And when something comes up, we type in whatever's going on, and boom, instantly 400 people have been informed. And that's more than one person in a house usually. So, you're talking maybe 800, 900 people. And you hope that at least conversation, somebody's having a cup of coffee at the diner with somebody. Oh, I see, Hoffman's running for mayor this year.
Don't be putting that out there.
And so that's Ruth Seco has been she's been looking at some communities who have that at different. So we've had 2 or 3 submit what it would cost for us to do it. It's not cost prohibitive. It's just you want to make sure you have it the best system going, and who has to put the information in and that type of stuff.
Yeah, no, that would be great. You're not going to please everybody 100% of the time. And there will be people that say, well, I didn't know I could give my email. Do you know what I mean? Nothing's perfect, but to have something like that in place, because otherwise you're leading things to social media to be your source. And
anybody can put anything they want on social media and be right half the time, I guess. Speaking of elections, we did discuss it the other night. Sarah Baker came and made some good points. She's a history teacher, very highly respected history teacher when she taught at Beeville. And she's a little concerned about voter turnout, as we all are on the board. And we've all looked at each other. What do we do? I mean, we put up signs in our yards and we, put stuff on Facebook. But as Megan pointed out the other night, most of our elections are unopposed. So that some people look and go, why would I worry about voting? Those guys are going to win anyways. Some of the elections that they cited as low turnout is the only person on the ballot was the judge. And, that's not a highly interesting type post. I mean, people who know better know that that's an important job, but not everybody cares. He's the judge. He's just going to get elected. And I don't want to run for judge because I don't want to.
And I hope I never have to see him.
So, and our attorney pointed out that this year he showed us a copy of the ballot. I got a copy today. If we would have been on the ballot in November, Republican candidates were on top, Democrat candidates next, conservative, like Right to Life, Workers' Party, blah, blah, blah. And at the very bottom would be independents, which would be Village Party or Citizens Party. So you'd look at your ballot and you'd start to vote and realize, maybe realize there's somebody down below here that's from another party. So we get lost in the shuffle going to November. Somebody posted on Facebook, quantity over quality, the other way around. Is that what you want? Because when the look is in March, when people vote, you get 120 people vote, but those 120 people all cared. They came because they knew there was an election. They knew that the mayor's job was on the line, type of thing. And so they come because they have invested interest in it somehow, as opposed to put it in the fall when 800 people will, 1,000 or 1,000 people, 1,500 will show up to vote for Trump or Biden or whoever's running. And then just by accident, look down and maybe see one of our people who's running for an office. I'll vote. I don't know who that guy is, but I got to vote for somebody. I like Village Party, Citizens. I like Village Party better, so that's what I'm voting for. So now you get quantity. You're going to get a lot more people vote, but they may not know who they're voting for. So is that what we want? So there's a lot of issues to be decided. This year's board with me, 6 of the 7 graduated from Baldwinsville. So they've been all the way through the school system, live here. They're invested they're not on the board because they're getting rich, because they're not getting rich. But they're on it because this is where I want my kids to grow up and to be happy. And my kids did grow up here and were happy. And I love this community. And, we have people that are in the Rotary Club and different groups and because they like the community. And my only question would be, I understand why people want more involvement, but I am a little bit of a loss to find what the issues are that they would turn around if they took over. What would they change? And that concerns me. Rumor was the last election that possibly they wanted to work on getting rid of the police department because it costs a lot of money. Well, I'm going to tell you what, if I fall on the floor and my wife calls 911, there'll be a police car here in 2 or 3 minutes, and not because I'm mayor. They'll be at your house, anybody else's house in 2 or 3 minutes to administer that first touch of first aid before the ambulance even gets there. I like that. I don't know about you. I mean, I'm just so much more comfortable knowing that if in the middle of the night I call and say somebody's trying to get in my back door, there's a police car on the way, and it doesn't take long for them to get here and hopefully, save the day. So there's a lot of issues that I don't understand, and I guess maybe I'm old school. I hope people continue to support the village and look at who's doing the work. Those board members sitting up there. We got 2 young people involved the last time because we felt we needed to be younger to represent the 30-year-old people. It's not, because Bruce Stebbins and I are both mid-70s. So we have a range. We have females on the board, and didn't always happen. When I was a kid, that never happened. And I didn't change it, but it's something that we encourage. And I would say that the basic premise to follow is that our issues are quality of life, not social, national issues that the county has to worry about, that the state has to worry about, or even the city of Syracuse, for instance. But we don't deal. I have no control over any of that kind of stuff. I can tell county executive what I think, but we can't. There's nothing on our ballots and anywhere in our work where we can change welfare, food programs. That all comes from above us. We're at the very bottom. Yet years ago, the Siena polling people took a poll of who do you trust more. 70% of them said they trusted their local officials, all the way down to about 20% national. And in between was state and, county and that stuff. Because if people want to talk to me, they can call me. Try to call Ryan McMahon and talk to me. And I like Ryan McMahon, but I'm just the position. Good luck. But you can talk to me. You had a chance to, if you call Bob Wicks or you call Rick Zachariah, you may get when I call Bob Wicks, he answers the phone. He doesn't have a secretary answering the phone. He answers it. Unfortunately, he will be leaving right after I leave. But I guess what I would like to say, too, is it's been a great ride. I love Baldwinsville. It's been really an honor, a privilege to be the mayor of a community like this where everywhere you look, people are good. We have good people doing good things, and I hope our young people appreciate that what they have to look forward to as role models of people in this community. I have a nice relationship with Joe DeBarbary. I'm so happy he's the superintendent of schools. So I'll be watching. I'll be checking on Shelley Hoffman to see what she's up to. But
see what I'm up to, huh?
Well, I will say that you and I got hooked up with COVID. You contacted me and said, how about if you come on live and say what the village is doing? And it's still going with, I've been thrilled to be able to share what the village is up to during COVID, but since COVID, kind of dissipated, we've talked about just what the village has going on. But with the COVID, it was a very scary time for me. I would lay in bed at night and think, geez, I hope our police don't have to go into a house and arrest somebody and get exposed to people that are sick. Same with our ambulance corps, our DPW guys, all that type of stuff. I should have mentioned the ambulance corps. We have a great ambulance corps, great equipment, great people. Another one of those services that we don't run. I think we do what we can to encourage them and help them, but they do a great job. Just a wonderful place to live, and I've been really blessed to be a part of it. I thank everybody.
Well, and thank you for doing these shows with me. Like you said, they started over COVID, and then just kind of there's always something happening in the village. There's always something to showcase in the village. And last couple months, I have had people come out and say, you haven't done any lately, because sometimes life tends to get in the way. But there was no way, Mayor, that I was going to to have you in 10 days walk away from this position and not give you a chance to talk to me and everybody else about, your experience for the last almost 10 years. So that's a long time. And everybody has their opinions, and we've talked a lot on this show and off. And, the village, I've always thought, is very, very quaint. And hopefully whoever the next mayor is, whenever the elections are, they just have the passion and the heart for the village that you do. And that's all that I could hope for in the next person that is our mayor. So
thank you. That's very flattering. I appreciate that. And it's people like you and Meg at the library and Matt Hunt, people like that do other activities and make the village go nice that even give credit for normally. We just have so many good people that are always looking for, Jim Dale with a ghost walk, and those are little things that they don't look like big events or what's that big deal? So what? But there are people who really enjoy that, and it makes their social life for 3 weeks heading up to it, and probably a couple weeks after, where they get to talk about it. I have no interest in ghosts or scary stories, but my sister Cindy eats that stuff up. And so her quality of life is improved by that. So that's what it's all about, quality of life. We have a nice place to live, things to do, good people, and you're right there at the top. So.
Well, thank you. But I think there's almost something every month. You mentioned the ghost walk, but for kids, we have the window painting, the trick-or-treating, the parade of lights. I can't even imagine how many people are going to be on these streets come Saturday. So that's November. December, you have, whether they're your thing or not, but there's the Kringle pub crawl. So that, people get together in the wintertime. So I joke that you don't see people in the winter, but I think our village does a really great job of the big chill in January. We still bring people out. I mean, if they don't want to come out, and I don't blame them. If they don't want to jump in the river, I really don't blame them. Although I'm pretty sure I got sucked into that again, Mayor. So,
what you mentioned, we have Margarita Fest, we have Old Chocolat. Just gets people out of the house, and maybe they run into somebody they've never met before. And I mentioned the business owners, and you look at, we have the Angry Garlic, and then Jeff decided to go with the Angry Smokehouse, and then this coming summer he's going to have Smoke on the Water with a boat that's going to deliver food to people who live along the river, and all these people, great business people who see Baldwinsville as a gold mine. Mm-hmm. Because we got good people. I mean, you want those people showing up at your businesses because they're good people. I can't say it enough. And you've made it easy to showcase it, even through hard times of COVID. Remember, we went to, suddenly they could have outdoor seating, and the diner put up a big tent in the back and served people out there. Everybody tried to do the best they could, and most of them survived pretty good. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know that. Drawing a blank on used to be the Agway, but Bevo Supply, and they had their two best years ever during COVID. Mm-hmm. They were shocked, but people really got into taking care of their yards and putting in more flowers, and it's time for us to do the landscaping that we've been putting off for years because we're spending more time at home. Yeah, I don't have to go in the city to work, so I'm out of work at 4:00. I got 3 hours to work on the garden. And so they were stunned how well they did during COVID. So it was a great story. And I'd love to say, well, I'm glad I could help. But they did it because we got great people, and it's just a wonder. I have to stop talking because I can talk all day about our people, but, and again, you gave us a great avenue to get the publicity out there. People like you are invaluable, and keep it up.
Well, thank you. And enjoy your last 10 days as mayor. I'll probably still call you mayor for the rest of your life, sir, but some things just
called me Mr. Mayor. He said, I'll probably always call you that. So that's fine.
Well, enjoy the rest of your Monday. And like I said, I can't even believe I'm going to say it, your last 10 days as mayor. So thank you, sir.
Okay, Shelley. Thank you.
Bye.